When the war finally broke out, Kurumi sent his 5 sons, brave and fierce, to lead the charge against Ibadan. The battle was fierce, and the Ijaye warriors, foiled by their initial successes, greeted the Ibadan forces who fled across the river Ose. The Eba, with their dark arts, prepared a potent charm called Edi, designed to make those who encountered it reckless and blind to danger. Are Kurumi of Ijaye, the Yoruba warrior who lost his 5 sons in one day. In the rich tapestry of Yoruba history, the tale of Are Kurumi is one that brings tears to the eyes and a heavy sigh to the heart. It is the story of a man, a warrior, who stood firm for tradition, even as the winds of change blew fiercely against him. Long ago, in the annals of the Yoruba people, it was a sacred tradition that when a king died, his heir must follow him into the grave. This was a grim but necessary measure, for it was believed that many princes, driven by the lust for power, would hasten their father's demise to claim the throne. By this tradition, kings were assured a longer reign, knowing that their sons would not dare to raise a hand against them, lest they too face the cold embrace of death. During this time, Alaafin Atiba sat on the throne as the paramount ruler of the Oyo Empire. He was a king of great wisdom and foresight, and he knew that the old ways would soon be challenged. Yet, he appointed Kurumi, the son of Esiele, as the Are Ono Kankafo, the generalissimo of all Yoruba warriors. Kurumi, a man of valor and unyielding principles, was assigned to lord over Ijaye, for tradition held that a king and an Are Ono Kankafo could not reside in the same town, as their powers were too great to coexist. One fateful day, Alaafin Atiba summoned the kings and the lords of the neighboring towns to Oyo. Among those present were the Timi of Ede, Balogun Ibikunle of Ibadan, and Kurumi himself. The air was thick with anticipation as they gathered before the king, not knowing what to expect. As the leaders settled, Alaafin Atiba descended from his throne with a heavy heart. In his right hand, he held the sacred sword of Ogun, the god of iron, and in his left, the fiery bolt of Sango, the god of lightning and thunder. These were no mere symbols, they were the embodiments of power and authority, feared and revered in equal measure. With a voice that echoed through the chamber, Atiba charged the royalties present to swear by the sword and the bolt that after his death, his son Aremo Adelu would be made king. The tradition of the heir following the king into the afterlife would be broken. Kurumi's heart raged like a storm. He rose to his feet, his voice thunderous as he reminded Alaafin Atiba of the sacred tradition. Kabiyesi, he began. It is written in the sands of time that when the Alaafin passes, his son must follow him. This is the law of our ancestors, the laws that keeps the throne safe from treachery. But the other royalties, fearing the wrath of the king and the unknown future, pleaded with Kurumi to reconsider. Yet, Kurumi, unyielding as a mountain, refused to betray the old ways. He left the assembly in anger, his heart heavy with the burden of upholding tradition. Back in Ijaye, Kurumi brooded over the events that had transpired. Meanwhile, the other kings and chiefs returned to their towns to inform their people of the king's wishes. In Ibadan, Balogun Ibikunle shared the news with his chiefs, and among them was Basunru Ogumola, a man who nursed a deep grudge against Kurumi. Years earlier, Kurumi had captured Ogumola, who was caught in a secret affair with Kurumi's wife. In a show of power, Kurumi had tied Ogumola to a stake like a common goat and fed him ashes as food. Ogumola, humiliated and filled with a thirst for revenge, saw this as his chance to bring Kurumi to his knees. Alaafin Atiba, realizing that Kurumi would not yield, sent emissaries to Ijaye, hoping to persuade him one last time. But Kurumi remained steadfast, his heart unmoved by the king's pleas. In a final act of desperation, Atiba sent 2 calabash bowls to Kurumi. One contained an effigy of twins, a symbol of peace in Yoruba culture, and the other was filled with gunpowder, the symbol of war. Kurumi, with the resolve of a warrior, chose war. He sent the emissaries back with his decision, and the drums of war began to sound in Ijaye. He summoned the chief warrior, Balogun Ogunkoroju, and ordered him to prepare for battle. But before the war could commence, Kurumi consulted the oracle, seeking guidance from the divine. The oracle, in its wisdom, warned Kurumi not to go to war with Ibadan, for it foresaw defeat. Yet, Kurumi, determined to stand firm, pressed the oracle for a way to avoid disaster. The oracle then revealed that to avoid losing the war, Kurumi and his warriors must not cross the river Ose, the boundary between Ijaye and Ibadan. Kurumi agreed, taking the oracle's warning to heart, and prepared his men for the impending conflict. While Kurumi fortified his defenses, the Ibadan warriors, led by the vengeful Ogumola, sought the aid of the Egba people. Known for their powerful charms, the Egba, with their dark arts, prepared a potent charm called Edi, designed to make those who encountered it reckless and blind to danger. This deadly charm was set at the river Ose, a trap for the unsuspecting Ijaye warriors. When the war finally broke out, Kurumi sent his 5 sons, brave and fierce, to lead the charge against Ibadan. The battle was fierce, and the Ijaye warriors, foiled by their initial successes, routed the Ibadan forces who fled across the river Ose. But the victory was short-lived. The Edi worked on its dark magic on the Ijaye warriors, clouding their minds with arrogance and a false sense of invisibility. Despite the oracle's warning, they pursued the fleeing Ibadan warriors across the river Ose, their charms and protection failing them as they crossed. It was a massacre. The Ibadan warriors, lying in wait, ambushed the Ijaye soldiers, cutting them down in droves. Kurumi's heart shattered as he received the news that all 5 of his sons had been slain in the battle. The loss was unbearable, and the once mighty warrior was brought to his knees by grief. As the remnants of Kurumi's forces retreated, Basoru Ogumola sent a taunting message to Kurumi, promising to come for his head. The weight of his son's death, coupled with the impending doom, drove Kurumi to the brink of despair. But even in his darkest hour, Kurumi held on to his principles, believing that he had done right by tradition, even as it led to his downfall. Kurumi, knowing that he could not face the dishonor of being captured by Ogumola, made a final tragic decision. He took his own life by drinking poison, ensuring that his enemy would not have the satisfaction of taking his head as a trophy. As per his wishes, his body was thrown into the river Ose, a warrior's burial and a final act of defiance against those who sought him humiliated. And so, the tale of Are Kurumi ends, not with a cry of victory, but with the silence of a man who chose honor over life, tradition over change. His story is a reminder of the heavy cost of upholding the old ways, even in the face of inevitable change. Kurumi's legacy lives on in the hearts of the Yoruba people, a symbol of unwavering loyalty to tradition, even in the face of unsurmountable odds. This story of Are Kuromi is a testament to the complexities of tradition, the weight of leadership, and the tragic consequences of unyielding principles in a world that is constantly changing.